Hey, it's Matt with PriceActionTradingSystem.com, and it is Tuesday. It's July 5th. This will be our chart lesson for today. And you can see we had another uh, positive day today. It started out as a range like usual, but broke out and went higher. Pretty typical for what we've been seeing. I don't think we made a new high for the day. Let me just look and see. 4608.75, 4609.25. So, no, we did not make a new high. It looks like it's a double top, but I mean, it's close enough to call it a double top, but it looks like we made even, but I guess we didn't there. So anyway, let's just draw a little line across there for the future. Make sure I looked at that right. I swear it's still, the high is 4609 and a quarter high. Yep. So it's close, but it's not quite equal highs. So, but it's real close. But anyway, you can see we had a very bullish day. We've been selling off since then. This is still early, so this doesn't mean much right here. We may make a double top and finally sell off here. I don't know. We're not quite back into overbought. I mean, we're still overbought up here, but we're not severely overbought until we get into this band here, the purple to the brown, or above, especially really above the brown. It's rare you see them go above or below the brown, down the brown on the other end down here, but that does happen occasionally. But it's rare. So we'll see if we can go higher. I mean, this market wants to go higher. It doesn't want to sell off. I mean, this is what strong trends look like when your corrections are only a bar or so, and then it goes higher again. Those are strong trends. So just be aware of that. Kind of a quiet day today. We did have a little bit, like I said, we did have the late rally. Um, I wouldn't even say it was a late rally. We had the midday, mid morning, late morning, midday rally. But let's flip over to the 2000 tick chart and we'll go. And here it is. You can see we kind of started rallying late morning here. I mean, we shot up a little bit earlier here, but we really started rallying here. And this is where the trend confirmed right here. So lunchtime or so, and we had that push up. We sold off significantly from there, but we had a pretty wild close here. And you can see closed higher before we turned down. So there was a news item this morning around 9 o'clock. I don't know what this was. This is just 3 o'clock usual craziness that goes on when everybody starts exiting, it looks like. Um, Lately it hadn't been that volatile really, but sometimes you get volatile closes like that. So, but anyway, there it is. Let's zoom in. We'll go through the trades. You had to be patient this morning. 7 o'clock came as we're making this little two-legged move back up here. Um, I think 7 o'clock actually comes on this high right here, and you can't short that. So, and there's no other chance to really enter this on the way down. Then we bounced. There's no real setup here until you get the reversal. So it's after 8:30 before you really get a setup today. And of course it'd be above that green bar or it's the red one, either one. They're the same thing. When it broke higher, that's a failure. And alpha double bottom with a failure. Look at what's looking like a range. That's a good place to probably go long right there. We do come back and get a first entry and then another second entry right here. Notice the lower high. Really, this would be where your second entry triggered, but since he's made a double bottom and you could go long one tick above that. My only concern is it's right into some resistance here, but you can clearly see the trend line in play, and it is a range and the highs up here. So maybe you take that trade. Depends on how aggressive you want to be. Let me zoom in a little bit here. But you may take that trade. It's above the midline. And notice we do come back and test it there. And then, of course, this is, there's the 9 o'clock news item. Consumer confidence usually doesn't do a whole lot, but lately you just need to be flat if there's any kind of high volatility news like that. So good time to be flat. I think tomorrow might be FOMC day if I'm not mistaken. So we may have tomorrow is Wednesday, but I'm not sure if it's the right date or not. But I think tomorrow is FOMC day. So we'll see. We'll see if that news item's there tomorrow. But definitely be flat. Well, I'd say an hour before that news item comes out because it can be crazy. And sometimes you get in these little tight ranges like this, it just goes straight sideways for an hour, and you don't want to get caught in something like that. So on FOMC day, heed my advice and be flat probably an hour before that news item comes out at 1 o'clock Central Standard Time. But anyway, we had this item this morning. I kind of marked it out till just after 9 o'clock. After, you can see, after about 9:00, well, what's this last bar here? 9:01. Maybe you wait a little longer than that, but by 9:02, it's pretty obvious that there's not much happening with this news item. It's just kind of congested. So, but drops on down, bounces. Again, I don't see any setups here that I would like to take. Runs back up, and you really end up with what I'd call a triple test here. And this is a second entry short too. Notice the new low, first entry, and then second entry. It's not a perfect signal bar, but I think it's close enough, considering it's a triple test plus a double, a second entry short. Plus you have your break and a new high here, and it couldn't get outside. It closes inside. So if it breaks below there, you probably get a scalp out of that. And sure enough, you get that and a little bit more. And then it bounces down here. It does go lower. So you got to be a little careful going long on that first one. But then it breaks lower and goes higher again. And then it comes back a third time. So there's really a higher low here. 2 times to go lower that fail. You've got plenty of room back to the EMA. You do have this little inside bar. This one's only like 4 ticks, and this one's like 2. So it's very low risk because you can get in this, with 6 tick risk. I mean, like I've been telling you, you can finally use the 8 tick risk again. So safety stop again. So try to use that where you can. So I like that entry. It's good for a scalp, nothing more. And we're just kind of chopping around here. You don't want to go short here, but there's no longs here yet, really either. Then it comes back again, and now you got a 1, 2, 3. I mean, look how many times we've passed. 1, 2. This one broke loose, but now you get 2 more right there at the support. Nice signal bar. I like going long right there, just playing the support. You get a higher low here. I'm not as crazy about it because it looks too congested by this point. I mean, technically you could call that congestion, but this is it broke lower and turned up. So you actually might have even entered that on the engulfing bar. Since that's a doji, I'd wait for this to close, and then with it closing bullish like that, I like going long. I don't like the higher low. I don't really like the reversal because this is not where you look for one in a little tight range like that. Would have worked. It keeps going higher, but I think you get an overshoot here and then 2 legs back. So that's a second entry long right there when it breaks above this bar here. But there's a little too much stem there for my taste. I don't really like it. But notice you got a new low, and it comes back once, twice. And so there's a failed second entry short there if it breaks above that. And that does confirm. Actually, that doesn't confirm the trend line. That just kind of sets it. It didn't get confirmed up here. But I like playing the breakout here, and it's really gone into a little bit of a range here. I just drew the line off the top, but there's support across here. I didn't talk about the second entry short, but notice you got the overshoot, you got a break, and then you got 2 legs up. You didn't quite make a new high, but you got a lower. Notice this high is up a little higher, and then you got a lower 1, 2, 3 triple test. Look how good that bearish bar is, how bearish that bar is. I like going short there just to try to ride. As long as you got room back to here, take that trade. And then it bounces down here. Makes a little double bottom. I like going long there. I'm not crazy about it because you got 3 bars, actually 4 bars with matching highs. But again, it's like 6 ticks. So it's pretty low risk. And the fact that it's making a higher, notice how it makes a higher low, even though it's not pushing through. If it pushes through, you'll probably run back up at least to here. You can see it did find resistance there a couple of times before it pushed higher. So as long as you got room to get out, take that trade. And it is, I did mark it green. It's a little aggressive because it's just a double bottom. But there is a failed second entry short there too. Of course, it does push up. And then you get 2 legs back. There's a second entry right there, but that's a little bit, you still got the trend channel, so there's no breaking new low. And I mean, it's very low risk, like 5 ticks. It does confirm the trend line, but I'd like to see a better signal bar than that. So it does break out. It gets a lower high, pushes up a second leg. This actually breaks lower and then turns up. I don't think I would enter that on the engulfing bar. Maybe you do. Generally, I'd want a better signal bar than that, but if it breaks above that bar, that's a failure. You can treat that like a failure because it's 2 legs up. And so maybe you enter on the engulfing bar, but I would wait. And if it breaks above this bar, you can still treat it as a failure. And so I like that. That's a little more advanced trade, and I did mark it green, so there's reasons to be concerned about it. It's not a perfect setup, but you can clearly see the trend line working up through there. It runs up back to the midline, finds resistance, and comes back. And notice this is a perfect second entry. Or actually, it starts here. Pull back 1 leg, first entry, second leg, and when it breaks above their second entry, that's a textbook 2 legs back. You can also treat it as a failed breakout of this little tight congestion range. A lot of reasons to like that one. Here again, you get an engulfing bar. This one I'm pretty sure broke higher and turned down and then closed and then went up. So you definitely don't want to trade that as an engulfing bar because it broke higher first. And you don't want to trade it a break above this because it's a pretty bearish bar. You end up getting an inside bar, and we just usually skip over those. You could argue there's a reversal here, but it's really late in the trend. It's right into the midline. I don't like it. I think you want to see that set up closer to the trend line, but I don't see that right here. It does end up trapping people and works, but I think you're better off to wait. Then, of course, you're trending back, but the trend has been up, so you don't want to really go short, even though there's a good reversal here. I mean, there's still plenty of room to scalp out there, but we've already had our break and new low, and you don't know that. I mean, it could just it could make a little jog down and then turn right back up. Maybe you take that trade. You could argue for it to be green. I think you're better off to skip it. Don't try to counter trend trade. And then we start working back here. This one's tempting, but there's no break of this. It's just a first entry, or actually it's a first, second, third. It's a fourth entry, so just no good reason to take that one. High or low here, but the signal bar is too good, and that takes you into 230. So that was pretty much it for today. So there it is. Not a lot of trades today. The volume, not a lot of volume either, really. The volatility's really slowed down. Hopefully it'll pick back up in August. Who knows? This is much more normal volatility. So I know a lot of new people are saying, "What happened to volatility? Where did it all go?" And hey, that's the longest I've ever seen that kind of volatility. It started around COVID and didn't quit until recently. Maybe the past month or so, and it's continued to kind of become more normal price action. This feels much more normal. So while the volatility is not nearly as high and we're not trending nearly as strong, these are big, huge trends, you got to get used to it because this is more normal. And the market, I mean, that's why this is so hard. You'll get used to the hard volatility, and then it seems like it's too slow, and then you'll get used to that, and then it'll seem like it's way too fast and way too volatile. So it takes time to see everything the market can throw at you. So that's another reason the learning curve is as long as it is. So keep that in mind. But anyway, that's the way I saw it today. I'm not going to beat around the bush and drag this out. I'm going to wrap it up here. We'll be back again to do it tomorrow. I'm done for today. This is Matt with PriceActionTradingSystem.com, and we'll see you next